Welcome back in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365, a nightcap edition here on the show. Joining you live, I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen, wrapping up day number 4 on the field for the Eagles, at least the open on the field for the reporters to be live and present at. Some good takeaways today, and another defensive win today, which I think is positive, John, because coming into the year, we talked about the offense had a little bit more continuity from a player personnel standpoint, and the defense getting wins early. Maybe they're a little bit further along than we thought. It might mean a whole lot of nothing. What'd you see from the offense today, John? A little bit of interceptions out there. What are you seeing from the offense through 4 days so far?
Yeah, I think for the most part, the offense has looked fine. I think, the past couple practices, Saturday and today, more stretching the field, more throwing down the field. And that by nature becomes more difficult than taking the easy layup. So I think the first 2 days was a bunch of underneath easy layup stuff. And then they're trying to, amp it up and work on some of the other stuff that is more difficult. So it's just common sense. It's going to be a little bit, layup versus 3-pointer. Well, what's more difficult? So unless you're Steph Curry, layup's a little bit easier. So, and even for Steph it is, but you get my point. So they've been, throwing the football down the field. Perfect example, the interception today, downfield throw. Off the back foot, a little pressured, interception. Well, you're not going to throw an interception if it's a little swing pass or it's a layup. So that to me, defines. But individually, I think if you look individually, AJ's been great. Devontae, when he's been out there, has been great. Wasn't practicing today. Had some back issues. Dallas Goddard has been phenomenal in this camp, dominating the middle of the field. So I think if you look at it individually, it's been fine. But yeah, you're not going to have a high completion percentage if you're throwing the ball down the field consistently.
Yeah, no doubt about it, John. Anything in the offense that you're seeing that maybe just looks like they still need more time to gel? One player made a comment today that was interesting to me, that the offense had more new things coming into the year. So the defense was by default a little bit further along because they had Fangio obviously last year. So I don't know how much newness is going to come to the offense under Kevin Patullo, but early returns for you, does it look like there's more new there than we thought, or what are you seeing in that regard on the offense?
No, I'm in the camp. I don't think there's been more newness, no matter who the coordinator's been. I think it's been pretty similar from a framework standpoint, whether it's been Nick, Shane, Brian, Kellen, and now Kevin. I think it's been very similar. I think it'll continue to be very similar. I don't think there's going to be drastic changes or drastic different looking offense by any stretch. I think it's going to be a very familiar looking offense that has been very successful, I might add, over the years. So I think that'll continue. Defenses are usually ahead of offenses early. That's the book on the NFL. Defenses are ahead early. Because, defense is about just attacking and doing the things you have to do. And as the offense is more about chemistry, I would say, give and take both sides. There's certainly chemistry you have to develop into the secondary and the coverage and all that kind of stuff. So, it's both sides of the ball, but it's more important for the offense than I would say the defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John, no Devontae Smith today. He had, I think, back soreness. It was listed for him missing today. What are you seeing from that wide receiving core? Jahan Dotson spoke today. I thought he had some great words today as well. What are you seeing from overall from the receiving group for this team?
Yeah, a little bit, Terrace Marshall was good early. AJ and Devontae are good. So I think that was the excitement early was Terrace Marshall. That slowed down a little bit. Johnny Wilson's picked it up over the past couple days.
Oh, good. Brian Pumper will be happy to hear that.
Not a tight end, at wide receiver. And he's starting to make some catches, catch the football more consistently, play up to his size, although Mac McWilliams did get a pass, but that was more of the pass, I think, than anything else. So he's been doing Anaya Smith. Boy, they're really trying to get Anaya Smith to make this team. I think he's going to be the punt returner. A nice little manufactured touch on Saturday. But I to me, it's going to be AJ, Devontae, Dotson, Anaya Smith, and Johnny Wilson. Those are your 5 receivers.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out there, Johnny Mac. I do think it's a little positive that some of those guys on the back end have played pretty well. I see an advantage, John, for a receiver like Terrace Marshall, even if he can't play special teams. We've talked for years now about if you lose one of the top 2 guys, you're going to struggle on the outside. In my estimation, it's worth keeping Terrace or whoever they opt to keep, even if they can't play special teams, because why not have at least a good or a competent player on the outside that can play ball for you if something does happen to the wide receivers? By the way, both of them who missed games last year.
Well, because you can't build your roster that way. You can't assume injury. And if you're going to be on the game day roster, you got to contribute. And the only way to contribute as a backup receiver is special teams. And it's interesting because somebody tweeted that today or posted, X, trying to figure out. It was when Dan Morgan cut Terrace Marshall in Carolina, and that's exactly what he said. He said he loves him as a receiver, can't play special teams, had to go in a different direction. And from the standpoint now, also, at this stage of his career, I think the Eagles will be able to get him on the practice squad anyway. So you can go about it that way. And then if you have the injury, you just elevate him from the practice squad and go about it that way. So I think that's sort of the plan with Terrace Marshall.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening there. John, let's keep rolling on that offensive side of the ball. You talked about the tight ends a little bit earlier. It's a no battle for tight end 2, but I want to talk about tight end 1, Dallas Goddard. Seems like he's having a really good camp, Johnny Mac. What are you seeing?
Yeah, he's a monster, man. I never think it's going to fully develop to what it could have been just because of how good the Eagles are. And if this guy were on a different team that didn't have, if he were in Baltimore, for instance, boy, I think he'd have Pro Bowls and all pros and very tight end centric team. He's a really good player. Now he's got to stay healthy, and that's been a big part of it. And can he be out there for 17 games? You saw him in the playoffs last year. I mean, he was the Eagles' leading receiver. He was dominating. That's when I saw him body Makuba in the middle of the field, I'm like, oh boy, this could be a problem.
Yeah, right.
Now there aren't a lot of Dallas Goddards out there, but there's a lot of good tight ends. And
I mean, Goddard's more physical than most tight ends in the league, but most tight ends are about his size or bigger.
Yeah,
there's not that many undersized tight ends in the league that have a big role.
No, well, like I think I said that yesterday. There's every tight end's going to be bigger than every safety, but there are safeties who are physical and can play through it. And similarly, there are Johnny Wilson, he's 6'6", 220, but he doesn't play like he's 6'6", 220, at least as a receiver, as a blocker. But as a receiver, So there's guys who don't play as physical as they look or should be. So it can work on both sides. But yeah, when you get somebody who's big and physical and plays physically and takes advantage of it, like Dallas, and you have a safety that isn't, yeah, it could be a problem.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening there. John, let's keep rolling. Let's stick on tight end a little bit. You said Calcaterra looks really good. What are you seeing from him? Any chance he expands his role, John? He spoke today and he talked about he wanted to be a more versatile tight end. You know, he looked and he compared it around the league. There's a lot of guys who can catch, and there's a lot of guys who are, you know, a threat in the run game. There's not a lot of guys who can do both, which is maybe insinuating he's trying to get better at both. It was the one knock on him. Any sign of that coming to fruition?
Well, no, because I mean, the Eagles just don't use that. So, I mean, other than if, you know, can he get better if Dallas misses another 4-game stretch? And he got a little bit better. You know, one thing that Grant deserves credit for is because he did, when he got here, he was one of those, you know, receiving tight ends who was never asked to block. And he's gotten a lot bigger. He's gotten a lot stronger. Now, he's still not a great blocker, but, you know, that's part of it. Getting bigger and stronger. He's a lot bigger than when he first got here. He could always catch. Like I said, he had a one-handed stab today that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But he's getting better. But there's never going to be any volume for the backup tight end on this version of the Philadelphia Eagles. There's too many good players. There's too many good players.
You think like a guy like off tight ends for a second, you think like a guy like Jahan Dotson has a chance to get more targets this year? And I'm not talking about him improving. I'm talking about that position getting simply more volume this year, or no, not really.
Well, I think a little bit by the nature, they'll probably play closer games. They'll probably be behind a little bit more. So they're going to be throwing the ball a little bit more. And yeah, he's going to get more because he's now developed the chemistry with Jalen Hurts and Jalen trusts him. And so he'll get more targets than he got last year because he got here late August. And you had basically spent the whole year, you know, first trying to learn the offense and then trying to develop that chemistry. And you saw it come to fruition late in the season. So that'll carry over. He'll be better, but and he'll be better from a statistical standpoint. He's a good player, but he's not going to have a high volume. No. I mean, there's just unless guys get hurt, and I assume you don't want guys to get hurt. I mean, AJ, Devontae, Dallas, bang, bang, bang. I always bring up that Doug Peterson, Matt Collins quote. What am I designing plays for the 6th option for? Now, Jahan's not the 6th option, but
he might be.
Grant Calcaterra might be.
I don't know. You got AJ, you got Devontae, you got Goddard, you got Saquon, Dotson, Calcaterra. Take your pick. Who's 5 and 6?
Well, I'm talking about the passing game. I'm not talking about, obviously, Saquon's, you know, the biggest impact, and he's going to touch the football the most. But I'm talking strictly the passing game, and he's the 4th option in the passing game, so he'll get his chances. But it's not like a high volume passing team where you have you have 2 receivers getting 1,000 yards, and you have a 3rd receiver, you know, getting 50, 60 catches as well. It's not how the Eagles play.
Yeah, right. John, last question here, and then we're going to get to the great Jeff Kerr. Jeff, thanks for checking in, brother. I see you in the green room. We're getting you in a second. John, last one here on the offensive side of the ball, running backs, and I'm talking after Saquon Barkley. Who's getting the majority of the reps in the second team? Is there any sort of battle emerging there between Dillon and Shipley? What are you seeing in the running back room to start camp here?
Yeah, I think that's a legitimate battle with Will Shipley and AJ Dillon. Back and forth. I would say AJ's been more noticeable. Will's probably gotten more reps, but AJ's been more noticeable. It's going to be interesting with A.J. Dillon. I wanted to ask Nick about him this morning, but I asked a question about this drill, and he went on for 65 minutes. Thanks, Nick, for the answer, but I think I pissed some people off. He really went on and on about it.
You guys you need like a timer. Nick can't go over 60 seconds on a response.
He gave a great answer. So I thank him for that. But I didn't want, I got to let other people get in their stuff. But I did want to ask him because I think he's impressed the coaching staff, A.J. Dillon. And he was a good back in Green Bay before he got hurt.
Yeah, he was great back.
So, I don't know how it fits. We can bring Jeff on now because I'd like to ask him. I don't think he's a great compliment for Saquon. Like you think about Thunder, and like I saw somebody in my mentions saying, "Oh, they're going to be like Gibbs and Montgomery."
Oh gosh!
I'm like, what?
No way. Let's go to the main man. Get his take on this. Jeff Kerr. Follow him at Jeff Kerr CBS. Yeah. Read all his work at CBS Sports. He joins us right now here on Birds 365. Jeff, welcome to the show on a Monday evening edition, my friend. How you doing this Monday?
Thunder and Lightning with Saquon Barkley and who?
Yeah,
A.J. Dillon.
Don't put that one on me, Jeff. You kidding?
I'd rather give Saquon Barkley the ball 40 times a game than give A.J. Dillon the ball once.
Well, I'd rather give. That's not the point. I mean, you want to lighten the load. You'd rather give Saquon the ball 40 times over any.